Rest in peace, Poker House. We're back with another vlog. We're playing 1-2. We're buying it for $500. And the first hand we look down at is 9-8 of spades on the button. There's 4 limpers. It's on me on the button. We're going to raise it up. The goal for this raise is to thin the field. We get 2 callers, so there's $90 in the middle. We're going to a flop, which comes ace 6-7 with 2 diamonds. We have an open-ended straight draw, and then the small blind decides to lead into 2 people for $30. The limper folds, and now it's on me. I think we're going to call here. No need to raise. I think a lead is very indicative of an ace holding. They do this a lot here in Texas. I don't think we need to turn our hand into a bluff just yet, and if we make our straight, then we might get paid big. We put in the $30, $150 in the middle, and the turn is the 4 hearts. No help to us. He bets $40, and now when he decides to bet smaller on this turn card, I think the best course of action is to raise and turn our hand into a bluff. We have all the ace kings, queens, jacks, etc., and he might have an ace rag hand like ace 5, ace 4, ace 3 suited. This also feels like the opponent wants to see a river for cheap. Good news comes our way. He folds, and we win a decent sized pot. And after we fold and the hand is ending, he says,
I had ace 6, but I wasn't going to take any.
He says to me that he folded ace 6 for top and middle pair. I don't know if I believe that. And he says to me,
I didn't suspect you to be pulling on the straight draw to try to turn it.
And that's exactly what we did. LOL. All right, this hand is a little wild. We're on the button straddle, so when we put the $5 out there, we have ultimate last action. Everybody on the table could go all in, and then when it gets to us, we can decide what we want to do. So that's what's happening here. Middle position raises to 20. A maniac in the small blind decides to raise it to $80, and he says that he's on tilt. And then the middle position player who originally raised makes it $103, and then the small blind calls. So now we have ace jack. I think this maniac to our left verbally says he is on tilt. I think this is a very obvious tell that he is strong here. And I think our ace high might be good versus jacks, queens, and kings. I'm putting him on queens or kings because we have an ace jack holding and we have no removal to that pocket pair. So I decide to put in the call. We're looking for an ace high flop, and guess what happens? That's exactly what we get. The flop comes ace 7-4, 2 spades, and right as the cards hit the felt, he takes about 2 seconds and he grabs his entire stack and slides it into the middle, and we cannot call any faster. The small blind's jam was just under $300. We put in the call. This pot's nearly $1,000 total, and the turn comes the 9 of spades, so now we lose to any flush draw, and the river is the deuce of diamonds. We show our ace jack, and he turns over pocket kings. And then surprisingly, the middle position player who went all in, he had pocket 9s and he turned his set, and we end up losing the main pot to second set, but we do take the side pot, which is nearly $600 from the maniac to our left. Sometimes in poker, you got to take a risk and go with your reads, and we were right this time, and we were lucky to hit the flop. And don't forget to subscribe and join my poker journey. And now we're going to the next hand. It's the same exact cards. We have ace of spades, jack of diamonds, and we're in late position. Let me catch you up to speed because I didn't start recording until I got re-raised. There's a $5 straddle on the button. There's 2 limpers, and it gets to us in late position. We're going to raise up to 35, and the small blind decides to re-raise us to $80, and we're just going to call this in position. This is a very small sizing, and we're okay with seeing a flop with this marginal hand. We lose to all hands like ace king and ace queen, so we got that in mind going to a flop, which comes ace king 7, 2 clubs. The small blind out of position decides to check to us, and I don't really think this board hits our range, so we're going to be a little deceptive, and we're going to check this back. If he does have a flush draw, he'll be calling any size bet. So we check, and the turn is the 6 of clubs. Not a great card, and when our opponent bets $70 into $175 in the middle, I think this is a great price to continue. We're going to call and tread carefully. We're going to a river, which is the 3 of diamonds. Our opponent decides on a value size. He makes it $120 to win this pot. The pot is $315. We have top pair with a decent kicker, but we need to break down his story and what his bets say about his hand. On the flop, we had ace king 7, and if he had a set, he would have definitely bet that, but he decides to check. So he's definitely leaning towards hands like pocket kings, pocket jacks, pocket 10s, and maybe he has a hand like ace 5 that's scared to bet, thinking that we have a better ace, and possibly king queen, king jack. And when the flush came in on the turn, he decided to bet small, which I think might be a pair plus flush draw. Maybe he has king queen with the queen of clubs, and he just want to get a cheap river. Hopefully he hit his flush. I think that's a story with the sizing. And if he does have a hand like ace queen, good game. I think this is a mandatory call with the line he took. So after tanking for a while and thinking, we put in the call, and he flips over pocket tens with the 10 of clubs, and we're gonna scoop this massive pot, $655. All right, here's a perfect example of the power of the button straddle. We have the button straddle on, we have ultimate last action, and there's 5 limpers. It gets to us with 9-8 of diamonds. We're going to put in the squeeze here. We make it $50, and only one player calls from under the gun. He is an old man coffee from my perspective. So when the flop comes, queen, queen 4, I don't think we need to value own ourselves versus a queen, so we're going to check this back and see what he wants to do. So when our opponent decides to check again when the turn is a 7, we're going to bet small here. He's going to fold so many hands. Jack 10, 8, 9, king jack, 4, 5, 6, 5, 7, 8 suited, all those hands. So we decided to bet small for $40, a cheap bluff, and he folds, and we win around $125. This feels good, man. I just think the power of this straddle is just insane and almost unfair. All right, our next hand, another example of the button straddle. We have king deuce of spades. There's 6 limpers to us, and I check back. The flop comes king 10 deuce. It checks to me, and we're going to bet $20. And an old man coffee decides to min raise us to around $50. We're going to 3-bet our hand. We have top and bottom pair. We're going to make it $125. And then guess what he does? He jams for $300. I sigh and call. What am I supposed to do? He flips over pocket aces. So he limped in pocket aces. Everyone just limped. Nobody raised it. So the trap didn't work. And he ends up value owning himself. And we agreed to run it twice on 2 boards. So 2-10 king, we have top and bottom pair. We need to run it twice, the turn and river. The first turn is the jack of diamonds, and the river is the 4 of hearts. We hold. Then on the second board, the turn is the king of clubs. We can only lose to an ace now because we have a full house, and the river is the 9 of hearts, and we just cracked pocket aces. This hand was massive and just so unexpected. We end up scooping a $600 pot with king deuce offsuit. What are the odds? It feels so good, and I don't know what our opponent was trying to do. Maybe he just thought we had a king and we were overvaluing it, but that's poker sometimes. And don't forget, if you want to play with me online and find crazy cash games and soft tournaments, the link is in my bio for all the spots. And just let them know funkypunts sends you for a deposit bonus. Every dealer change here at Poker House, we play a Texas Hold'em double board bomb pot. We have 10-7 off, and on the bottom board, we have trip 10s. We end up getting it all in versus 2 players with shorter stacks, and we end up chopping up against a lower flush versus the nut flush, and we have trip 10s to lock up the bottom board. So we make around $200 in that pot. I want to include this hand because the profits of a session are so important to bring to this vlog, and we just can't believe how hot we're running, and we do not stop running hot in this next hand. We have pocket deuces. There's 1 limper, and we decide to join in to the limp, and then the aggro player to our left decides to raise it up to 20, and then the limper to my right calls, and now we're getting a great price to see a flop with our pocket deuces. These guys are so cute. The flop comes, you guessed it, queen 8 deuce with 2 diamonds. We both check to the aggressor. He bets 40, and I decide to call and slow play our set. The turn is a 6 of club, which brings a double flush draw. We're going to check again to our opponent. He bets 50 with only $150 behind. I think this is a perfect moment to go all in, especially with how short he is, and he feels like he has a strong hand. So we decided to go all in, and he calls, and now we're running off to a river. We let him know before the river comes out that we have pocket deuces, and he is drawing dead. So we go to the turn. It's the 8 of hearts. We boat up, and we scoop another pot. We are just piling chips into our stack. $440. We scoop. Head in our direction. It feels so good. Oh, love this game sometimes. Sometimes I love it. We look down at 9-10 of hearts in late position. There's a raise from middle position and 2 callers, and we're just going to complete here. So then the big blind and the button decide to join the party. We're going 6 ways to a flop. Guess what? Since you guys know we're running hot, it's queen 8-4 all hearts. It checks to the original aggressor. He bets $25, and we're just going to fast play our 10 high flush. We don't want another heart to come out and for our hand to be downgraded, so we raise to $100 and we take it down instantly. $175 coming our way. Damn, it feels good to run hot. Everyone prepare your fingers for the comments. We have ace 3 of hearts in middle position. There's a $5 strat on 1 limp. We're going to raise up to $25 and we get 2 callers. So $75 in the middle, going to a flop, which is 10-9 deuce. with 2 hearts. We have the nut flush draw and backdoor straight draw potential. It checks to me. We're gonna bet $35. The big blind calls and the other opponent folds, so now we're heads up. The turn is now the 10 of clubs, and our opponent decides to lead for $70. This is just strange entirely. I think leading on this card is very strong, and if he wants me to fold, he's doing a great job because I want to fold very bad. But I convinced myself, why would he be leading into me with trips? That doesn't make a lot of sense, and I think that's a fair perspective on this hand. We're also getting a massage, so we feel way too good. So we decided to put in the call versus this lead. With around $275 in the middle, the river is the deuce of diamonds, and he decides to shove $125. All right, man, I think he set this up very, very well. This looks very strong, and he's getting max value versus all my hands, and he's only representing one hand, and that is a pair of 10s, like ace 10, queen 10, king 10, etc. So we go into the tank, and when we're getting a massage and we're going to the tank, our head starts to get really creative. We say to ourselves, what leads on this board texture? What, like queen jack? I really don't know. We're in Texas. I don't know this player very well, and I'm in the mood to make an ace-high call since I've been running so good, which I think is a big mistake, a big flaw in my game that I'm really starting to get better at as I've been making these vlogs and progressing and reflecting on my mistakes. And also, to keep it short and simple, people here in Texas get crazy and they want to act strong all the time. And ace high might be good here, so we're going to put in the chips, and we're wrong this time. He has queen 10. He led when he got trips. We lose a $525 pot. You can't always run good, but I'm okay with making this call sometimes, not often. All right. On to the next hand. This is one of the wildest hands I've played here in Texas. We have jack 10 of spades. We're under the gun 2. There's a $5 straddle, raise to 15, a great hand to 3-bet. We make it $55. And then guess what happens? Middle position, the big blind, and under the gun all call. So now we're going 4 ways to a flop. $220 in the middle, and we have the entire table covered since we've been running so hot. It comes ace, ace, queen, rainbow. We missed the board, but we do have a gutter to Broadway. It checks to me, and we're going to check here and see what our opponent wants to do in position. He makes it $100, and both opponents fold, and now it's on us. So let's think about the hand pre-flop. So when I raised, he cold called in position, and now there's an ace high board. I think it's likely he does have an ace, and if he has ace 5, ace 6, ace 7, ace 8, ace 10 even, I think facing a raise, he can find a fold here. And that's the way I look at it. We do have backdoor flush and straight draw potential, so we're going to put in a check raise here. I think I'd be doing this with all my ace kings and ace jacks and ace 10s in this position. If I had pocket aces or ace queen, I would be slow playing. And now we're going to represent our entire range. We are the strongest pre-flop, so we make it $250. And now we're feeling really happy about our raise here. When we slide in our raise, our opponent seems like he's in agony, so now we're really excited about our play, and I think we got a good read in. It feels like ace deuce through 5 now after his reaction, but he does put in the call with around $720 in the middle. The turn is the 9 of spades. So now we have a flush draw with a gutter ball to the straight, and we still want to represent an ace high holding like ace jack or ace king here because they're definitely in our range. So since we gained more equity, we're going to continue with our bluff, and we decide to go all in. Our opponent only has around $300, so this all-in isn't the biggest deal, and our opponent decides to call very quickly, and guess what hits the river, guys? The 5 of spades, and our opponent shows us ace 10 of clubs. We are such a luck box. This is disgusting, but I want to find plays like this and get hands like trip aces with a bad kicker to fold, and this is the best way to do it. But we did realize our equity and get there on the river, and we are so happy about this. This pot is nearly $1,300, and it's coming our way. We cannot believe we just won this hand. Massive, crazy action, big bluffs, very proud of it. Happy we got there too, because we would be okay with losing as well. All right, it's the last hand before we wrap it up and tell you how much we won. We have ace queen on the button straddle. There's 5 limps to us. We're gonna make it $50, and a new player who's under the gun with his girlfriend tickling his back decides to call. The flop comes ace high, and we decided to put him all in because he only has around $150 left, and he snap folds. We show him the ace because we felt kind of bad, and his girl was there, so it was kind of embarrassing. All right, guys, so we decide to cash out. We got our good friend Gil making some goofy faces as always. We were in the game for $700, and we cashed out for $2,110. That's a profit of $1,410. What a session it was. Hope you guys enjoy the vlog, and I'll see you in the next one.